And now, live from the studios of Freedom's Phoenix, Ernest Hancock.
I want to break free. I want to break free. I want to break free from your lies. You're so self-satisfied. I don't need you.
Oh, yeah, I just want to break free. And I tell you, the one way of doing that is not being dependent on the man or anybody else other than yourself. Now, you can be dependent. I think we're social creatures, and to be dependent on our relationships that are beneficial. I mean, you don't want to be an enabler. You know, you don't want to have somebody that's draining on you all the time. So I'm just, how do you determine these relationships? Well, a lot of it comes back, how you were raised and so on. So this is my question right before we get into some, nitty-gritty technical details. I want to ask Dennis, the philosophy that you're raised in, and I'll preface it with this. As I get older, as times change, as you'll have people, they start to merge their philosophies into more kind of what you're doing. As survivalists, we need to be more independent kind of thing. Doesn't matter if you come from, a more communal, socialist, big government kind of mentality should do something, or, more of a neocon, we rule you and we're going to rule the planet and make them better whether they like it or not kind of, all this kind of starts to, when it gets to home, when it comes into your family, the people, start casting off all this indoctrination and they start getting down to the basics. So I'm wanting to ask you, from that perspective, how do you think your view of the world has altered from what you were younger, and where do you find yourself now?
Well, I think one of the things that altered my view of life and really set the course of my life was my father. He had a heart transplant when I was 12, and he only had 6 months to live. But he actually outlived the odds and lived 15 years. So the time he spent with me, he was trying to teach me how to take care of myself, facing his mortality and worrying about providing for his kids. So I was raised with a unique appreciation of life and, I guess, mortality. And so I was kind of raised with this aspect, and I found my beautiful wife in Ohio, and she had qualities I really liked. She knew how to fish, she knew how to hunt, she knew how to spin wool, and she grew her food, and I thought she was wonderful being a city boy. So I think that it really, my young childhood directly affected my course of life and made me want to manifest my future, how I seen fit and what I thought would be best for my family.
Excellent. That's very interesting. So I got to ask Danielle. Danielle, you met someone like Dennis, and or was it an opposites attract thing, or was there a lot more in common? Were you attracted to his attributes as someone that's more self-sustaining? How do you guys mesh as a couple?
Well, basically, at first I thought we were opposites, but we really do have a lot more in common than we initially thought. But yeah, I liked his self-sustainability. I like his leadership. He's a really great guy. I mean, I absolutely love and adore him.
And that came across when we finally got to meet you a couple weeks ago, and I can see an enormously influential future for both of you. Now, I want to, before we get into the technical stuff, tell me about the attention, Dennis, that you guys have gotten from, I don't know if I would say the media as much as it is video and television communications. They want to take advantage of your uniqueness and what they think is a marketable education for people they can make money on. I mean, but go ahead and let's talk about the media and how the news programs have approached this and what they think of what you're doing. Are you crazy crackpots out there in the Lone Prairie, or they see you as innovators? I mean, give me your perspective.
Well, I think that we've had overwhelmingly positive support. It's really just blown us away. We made a YouTube video, and it went viral, and we had, ABC News and, BobVila.com and you name it, magazines. We're going to be in Make Magazine should be next week. We're filming with Whole Foods this next week, Nat Geo tomorrow. It's been amazing. it's, I guess, the right place at the right time. People are looking for this information, and we are sharing the information too. We like the fact that people want to distribute what we're learning, with the media. It's amazing that people can know around the world what we're doing in our backyard. That blows my mind. And it's not our intent to profit. We never wrote an ebook. We're not trying to sell this. Basically everything, you can go to gardenpool.org and read how we did everything. Read about our new projects. We put PDFs out there, and we even have free classes. We think it's great. I'm happy that people want to know. So it's helped push us to continue doing what we're doing.
Okay, now let's go ahead and get into it. What we have, I'll tell you what made you so unique. What made, from my perspective, we've been covering this stuff for years on Freedom's Phoenix. We have chronicled all kinds of stuff. You can grow this. You can square foot garden that. You can even use, fish and kind of have a vegetable garden semi-closed system. You can do all kinds of things, but what you had done is that in a small area, using, pumps and gravity and the empty pool, have turned it into a much more productive closed system that is capable of producing a lot more food with a lot less water. And it's just, so I could see it was a mature manifestation of somebody that had some basic fundamental skills, knew how to, do an internet search, had the support of family, a little place to do it out the back, and boom, did it because he had the confidence. Now let's go ahead and walk through this. You move into your home, and there's an empty pool out back. The decision is made. Okay, we're going to use this to make food, and your wife said, okay. So you go out there. What's the first thing that you did? You moved in. You started doing what?
Okay, before we even moved the kids in the house, our first thing was the pool. It was big, empty, 16 by 30, 9 foot deep. So the first thing we did is we cleaned it up, got, the mosquito water out of the bottom, and we framed it using pressure-treated 2x6s and some PVC, and we made a big greenhouse on the top, and we decided to grow. And it was a big empty greenhouse, and at first we did container gardening, and then we found that once it heated up, we were watering all the time, and all the water would eventually go to the bottom of the pool. So then we added fish in there. And
now, let's just stop right there. You just want, okay, we got a greenhouse. Because it's in the ground, it's probably, a little bit cooler in the summer than normally would be. But it was space. Okay, we just put a roof on it. And the benefit was you didn't have to build walls. You just, really, you already had the walls there. You just need to put a roof on it. You didn't plan on adding the fish. How did, I know you're watering a lot. You get some water down there. We got to keep pumping out the water. We got water. We're paying the butt water. How did you make that transition from having water in the deep end to deciding on fish? Did you even know this was a possibility? You were online. How did you come to that conclusion?
Well, we studied pond culture for a while because we know that with water, when you add water into a greenhouse, it adds thermal mass, and it helps keep it even cooler during the summertime and even warmer during the wintertime. So it was a good idea to have water in there to add thermal mass, and it just seemed to be inevitable the way the pool is. So we actually, about the same time, switched to hydroponics because we got tired of doing as much watering daily. We were almost watering 5 times a day with all those pots everywhere. But hydroponics got expensive after a while because you have to basically dump all your water out and add new every couple of weeks and add new nutrients, and that gets costly. So we got the idea to add fish to the system, and we heard about aquaponics. And we basically took hydroponics and growing fish and put them together, and now we don't have to flush the water. It just recycles and recirculates.
Okay, now we're getting into it. We're starting getting into it. Now, hydroponics, what we've learned. Hydroponics is water with some nutrients in there that feed your vegetables and so on, but you keep having to add these nutrients. Well, then we start to find out, that there's another way of doing it, and we're going to find out and detail it because he's made some new discoveries, or maybe old, rediscovered stuff we're going to talk about when we come back on Declare Your Independence.